Hello YouTubers, start of a new day, second day. I just posted the other one last night on first painting, and so I came back out. Let's see, I finished at about 3 o'clock. I came back out at 6 o'clock to see how warm the shop was and whether or not to leave the heater on all night, but the air temperature outside is warming up, so I turned the heater off. But I wanted to test how dry this was, and so I went and put my finger on one of the spots on the masking tape to see if it was going to be sticky, so not touch the hole, but it was nothing. So then I gingerly touched a couple places that, just like, oh, it's hot. But it was dry. I could have probably painted it again, but I don't know if the mystery paint has had enough users yet to get feedback on updated instructions. As hard as it was, I felt no stickiness. At 3 hours later, they say it's about a 10.5 hour cure, and redo within 24 hours, and I've got to get started because I'm getting close to about 23 hours now. There's a few little, when you go over it, and I can feel some little nits, and so I don't know if it's spider poop or just dust in the air. But remember, it's a boat, it's not furniture, so we're not, and I'm not taking it to Port Townsend. I see some of those boats up there. It's like, will those things ever go in the water? They can't be immaculate like that all the time. So one of them is so smooth that I don't know how many coats of paint they must have put on it, but neither there nor here. Let me go get some paint mixed up. You don't need to see me do it. It's 5 to 1. Mix it up and start rolling. And I did look at the instructions, and it said to use a short nap roller, and I was ruminating on that yesterday as to whether I should have used a cloth or the foam, but the foam seemed to be doing so good that I may as well continue on with that, so that'll give them some feedback on using a foam roller. I may, on the final, I don't know if how much I got, whether I'll be putting 3 or 4 coats on this. I may let the third coat cure for a day or two and give it a light sanding before I put on the 4th coat. I may not. Who knows? I'm up for, I blow with the wind. Let's start at the bow this time. Mix went pretty good. I still hate having to pour this stuff out of that can into the mixing thing. I'd still like to see, I was looking at my, I have an old peanut butter jar, a Skippy jar. It's a wide mouth plastic, and that's be perfect for putting this paint in. I also want to start this in too to give you a better idea of the second coat, changing the coverage on this darker stuff down here. Just a little on the edge to do this. I'll come back with the brush when it's tipping. You can see how it's darkening up on this second coat. I'm going to go ahead off camera. There's no, it's pretty much a continuation of yesterday. We'll give it a tip out now on the one side. Real light. Just, you don't put any pressure on it. You're just lightly dragging along. Support the brush with a couple of these fingers here. And you don't want it. You want a little bit of support underneath. Try to take as long a stroke as possible. We'll go ahead and tip out the transom here. They say it's brushable. And if I had another test subject, I might try it out. As I was painting along on that first side, I kept wondering, is like, am I going to have enough for the other side without having to mix up another batch? So that's something you got to be, get over here, that's something you got to be thinking about when you're doing this, as to how heavy you apply it with the mix, the amount that you have up. And for this 9.5 foot hull, 6 ounces seemed to be the perfect match for just doing a, getting some lines down here on the edge where the end of the stroke was. I always worry about these things of getting enough mill layers, what they call, when you're doing this, is to get enough thickness on these round parts, because that's where it's going to get worn off probably the easiest. So we'll let this one cure. Like I said, it'll be dry. It's about not quite 24 hours now, so probably it's about almost 2, so probably around 5 o'clock I'll come back out and check it again, and it's probably going to be hard, you know, dry to the touch. So here, let's do a last little flybys down at this end, so you can see it's starting to take on the color. There's a little bit of gray showing through here, but and up in here where it was heavier, I don't know if I'm not putting it on heavy enough. I may brush on some up there. I don't know if it's going to cause me problems or not. I've got a little darker spot in here, and see if I can brush over that a little bit. And probably just, yeah, I'm not going to do any more of that. Getting ready to mix up the third coat of paint, and I wanted to bring out the Mystery Paints product sheet, and it's a linear polyurethane, is a high performance topside waterborne acrylic urethane. And what I had alluded to, like video before last, that it was reminiscent of All Grip. It's equal to All Grip's bigger brother, which is like, it's not quite All Grip, it's something like that, 2000. So this would be the equivalent to that paint. So let me go ahead and mix up some stuff, and we'll put on the third coat. And I had to call him up, the chemical engineer that developed this, and about some of the specs as far as timing on the cures, because I came out again about 3-4 hours after, in the shop is in the mid 50s, which is on the bottom end of the painting ambient temperature for this stuff. And it was hot, it was dry, and it was cured, but he said, I guess it still has a higher moisture content, and that if I put it on too soon, after they say 10-hour cure, it may I don't know, dry out or suck the moisture out of the new coat I'm putting on, but I haven't had any of that problem, so I'm half tempted to maybe tomorrow paint in the morning and then paint late in the afternoon, get the third and fourth coats on in one day. Because the weather's too nice out and I want to get out and ride my motorcycle instead of waiting around here all day for the paint to dry. So let me mix it up and we'll be come back. I switched over to a short napped roller paint out here, and acting a little different. Problem I'm having now is I've got to get a light source downrange from where I'm painting, so see where the heck I'm at. So that I get a good even coat, and then I'm not putting on either too little or too much paint. I don't know, maybe the foam roller, by putting more bubbles into it, was giving me a better indication of where I've been. Well, you can see what I'm doing. We'll come back later. Well, there's the finish of the third coat. It's got some shine to it, and I don't think I mentioned it cleans up with soap and water. Oops, I don't know what the ceiling. Nothing up there to see. I think I'm going to go back to the foam roller. The fabric roller was not giving me enough idea. I don't mind the bubbles because they tip out real easy, but the bubbles from the foam rubber or from the foam roller give me a good idea of where I've been, and also a good idea of the thickness. I had a little bit more in the bottom of the pan left over than I wanted. I really wanted to be sucking up the dregs on the transom, because usually that's the way it's been on the first two coats with that foam roller. And I was nervous about, you know, how much was I laying down, because it's getting harder and harder to tell. And this time with that fabric roller wasn't giving me a lot of bubble tracks in behind, so you had to really look. And I found that I was having to get down here and roll to see a transition between someplace where I'd been and someplace where I hadn't been. So if I had the first one to do over again, I would have liked to have used maybe the fabric on the first one to see if it even needed to be tipped out. But the foam, it did. I should have maybe left one panel untipped on the bottom just for me. Now it's going to be a race to see if I have two more coats. I know I got one more, but whether or not I have enough Part B in the bottle to do a full 6-ounce coat on the fifth coat. I'll be able to get 4 out, but I don't know if I'll get 5. I'd like to have 5. And then it's going to be probably 2 weeks after I get done, but we'll come to that. There'll be a 2-week delay before I do anything, unless I start playing around with some ideas on how I want to make that fiberglass mass. So we'll come back.